Welcome to the 1,000 Feet Deep podcast, where we go to great lengths to go deep in our conversations with people just like us. Those who, no matter their success, still haven't got it all together. But our guests have overcome, and despite their achievements, they care enough to stop and bring us on their journey. Enjoy today's podcast as we aim to go deep, because we believe that your depth determines your height. Adam from RevFit, how are you, mate? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, mate. I'm really pumped for this.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here, driving all this way.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool drive from Tamworth now. It's nice and cruisy, so...
Yeah, that's it. Doesn't take much. Yeah, good on you. Well, mate, let's hear about you. Who is Adam Brook?
Yeah, good question. Really good question. Probably something I'm figuring out as we go as well. But, mate, I guess as a bit of a backstory, so... born and raised in Tamworth, New South Wales. So had a great childhood there. Great family. We're always encouraged. Anything that I wanted to do, had good schooling, all those things. But mate, I guess to break it down, I mean, just love family.
Yeah.
Love being a part. Love sport. I guess. Again, growing up, schooling was never, academic was never sort of my thing, but sport and being involved in that really was. And I think growing up, you sort of look back at things now and you see a lot of lessons I learnt, through sport in particular has really played out in these later years. And it's pretty cool to, I guess, you go through it. Back then, you don't think too much of it. And then as you get older, you think back to those lessons you learnt. So, growing up, great childhood, very supporting family, good education, but sporting and those things for me was always a big drive.
It's super interesting, isn't it? Those life things that are not compulsory, they're just an interest, and yet they feed so much of who we are.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
100%, it is. And so boxing was sort of my sport of choice.
Is that right?
I played rugby league and rugby and that all through school, but boxing was the one that I really kind of put my time and energy in, and that was my passion growing up. And I look back at a lot of lessons I learned in the boxing ring and those hard training sessions, and it's certainly shaped who I am now.
Did you have fights?
So I competed on sort of just about 50 odd, so actual fights where you get a record. I was pretty small, so I weighed about 43 kilos sort of through my prime, I guess, sort of range. I kind of got up to those mid 50 weight kilo divisions, but there's not a lot of fights out there for kids that size. So I did a lot of exhibition and demo fights where I kind of fought guys older and heavier and those sorts of things, and that's a great lesson there. And I kind of always had an opponent who was bigger than me, stronger than me, more experienced than me, and I take a lot of those lessons now. You travel down to Sydney, you kind of don't know much about this opponent, but you just face him and
50 fights. You had 50 fights.
It would have been sort of mid 50s somewhere there.
That's unbelievable.
Sort of boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. Sort of had a bit of crack at everything. So
Don't mess with Adam.
I don't know about these days. I haven't punched in a while. It's about 24 when I kind of finished up, but I still love the sport and the art of martial arts. I think that's a really important thing for especially young males.
You're right.
I think it's a really good guidance for them and discipline for them to learn. So
What do you think of the UFC these days? Obviously, when I grew up, it was boxing. And that was rough enough. And now, I watch. I don't get into UFC much, but the bit I watch, it's brutal. Yeah. What do you reckon?
Yeah, agree. I love the athlete and what those guys have to go through, and they have to learn so many disciplines, boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, all these different, and they bring it all together. So I appreciate the athletes that they are and what they do and the professionalism of what they do. But there's something about human nature in watching two guys kind of, go too far with things and it's
mate.
So I agree with you.
Yeah, it's gruesome, isn't it? Yeah. Well, mate, it's probably no wonder then that you're in the fitness industry now then.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. I always enjoyed that side of things for sure. So it was probably a natural transition as the years rolled on by.
So you started off as an electrician, but you've now got two businesses.
Yeah.
RevFit, they both come under the RevFit banner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're
Tell
still
us a bit
sort
about
of figuring that part out, I guess.
Yeah,
so,
good.
Yeah, when I left school, those senior years of school, to be honest, like I was a little bit lost. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. A lot of my mates knew they were going to go to uni or they were going to get a trade. I sort of didn't really know, and I just fell into an electrical apprenticeship, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I sort of went through those years, got the apprenticeship, and then sort of 3-4 years out of my trade, I just sort of questioned, like I just had no drive to be honest with you. You know, I'd wake up and I'd just go to work. You know, I hated Mondays. I got excited on a Thursday because we got an early knock off on Friday, and then the weekend rolls around. But I can remember just that's not the life that I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, and I, as clear as day, remember I was in the gym with a mate doing a workout, and I was telling him about it, and whether I'd mentioned it to him a few times, I don't know, but he just gave me a very well, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
Ultimately, you've got to do something, man, you know? So, and he asked me, what are you going to do? And I looked over and there was a personal trainer working with a client, and I went, well, that'd be a pretty cool job. I'd love to do something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, do it, you know? So, went off and took me 12 months, got my certificates as well as working, as a full-time Sparky, and then just started from there. Started taking clients. Started with no clients, and you finally get one, and then you start to do it before and after work, and then all of a sudden you get in a position where I then started my own electrical business. So then the Sparky side of things could work around the gym. So then I'd get up and do my classes. I'd work through till 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock when things quietened down. I'd go on Sparky 5-6 hours and then come back and do it again. And eventually over years I was able to then do away with the Sparky and then just go all in on the fitness journey. So,
and have you loved it ever since? Like, I mean, a job's a job. Did you hate the Mondays ever, or is it just like, nah, this is why I'm around?
Yeah. I genuinely love what I do, and I can work a 15-hour day on that floor.
Yeah.
And it is, I could have the worst 15-hour day on that floor. Yeah. And it's better than my best 8-hour day, Sparky.
Isn't that funny?
I have energy. My day starts about 4:30 a.m. First class is 5 a.m. So as much as I don't high five myself getting out of bed every morning, right? I get up, you get in the shower. But once I'm in the car, once I get to the gym, those first members walk in the door, I'm truly blessed. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Good, mate. It's good. Not everyone finds their thing, hey? No. I don't actually know that's, I don't even know that that's the goal, to find your thing, if I'm honest, because a lot of times, what we do is it's not meant to be like that, but there are times where what we do, it's like a sweet spot. I feel like I've been a builder for 30 years, or more than that now, and I always knew there was something beyond building. Yeah. And the frustration of it made me think that building was the problem. Building was never the problem. Yeah. It was how I thought about things. It's how I dealt with stress. It was how I dealt with problems and issues, and how I saw my working day. And the problem was I was going to take those tensions with me no matter what I did. Yeah. But what I did find was that even when I sort of got my mindset right and started to really see this as, something that could, make us money and bring achievement, all the stuff, I still knew there was something beyond building, even when it was humming. Yeah. And so I feel like we're doing that now. And so it's funny because a lot of life is just moving through frustration. Yeah. Because that's what it looked like for me when I was working as a builder and as a carpenter before that. It was like frustrating because I knew there was something beyond this that I would rather do. Yeah. But the tension is that I was probably going to turn up there not ready unless I did the work internally, so that when I did get the opportunity to move on beyond building, I was ready and I could actually enjoy it. Yeah. It doesn't sound like that was a scenario for you. It seemed like, the fitness industry just fit who you were. Talk to us though about any internal work you've had to do. You're a leader of people now. Yeah. It's never easy. Yeah. And obviously, just because you like it, now it's like you're responsible for 8 people and they've got to get up every day and do, the work of RevFit. Yeah. How do you get them up? And what's been the internal work you've had to do in your own mindset with being a business owner?
Yeah. So I was very lucky. I came across a mentor when I was about 25, 26, 25. I stumbled across him on Instagram. Didn't go looking for him, but he came up in my feed. And the first video that I saw of him, or post that I saw of him, I instantly kind of felt a connection, and I knew that, you know, he spoke my language, you know. So I jumped on, checked him out. He was based in Canberra, and funnily enough, again, just I guess how things work out, he was running a 3-day, 2-day intensive like immersion weekend.
Yeah, wow.
All within a month or something of coming across him. So bought tickets, got flights to Canberra, and I spent the weekend with him, and just the language he spoke, the things he spoke about, just made sense to me. And he opened up the door to figuring out who I am and asking those questions, who I am. But he also made me face a lot of things.
Yeah, so that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and he called me out on a lot of things that...
Good.
I'd give him an example of something that happened in that day, and he'd go, well, you know, he'd unpack the feeling of that, and ultimately it came back from a feeling that I had because of something that, you know, I wasn't doing.
That's
you know what I mean? But
yeah.
I was seeing it in staff or people around me, and I was getting frustrated with them.
And how old were you when you did this?
Oh, like mid-20s.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
that's
mid-20s. And I mean, I reckon, 25, 26 when I came across this guy. And I went in and I did that weekend with him, and then went in and did like a 12-week intensive with him. And you know, it was like coaches like that, they're pretty expensive. I can remember thinking, like, the extra hours I had to work, all these things to pay for this course. But another thing that he really taught, when we pay good money for things, we listen. Yeah. And we take on board, right? And those 1 hour chats that I had with him, those lessons, I got so much out of it because I was so invested, you know.
I reckon you've nailed it there, Ads, because what I had to learn the hard way around, you know, that dissatisfaction, the grind of business, not knowing what's normal, knowing what's, you know, what's critical.
Yeah.
When you learn it the hard way, it's very deflating. It's like you've got someone in your corner who can tell you before you're going to, hey, look, before you get into the heat of the battle with business or whatever it is you're going to do, this is what you've got to look out for.
Yeah.
This is how you got to think. This is how you got to act. This is how you want you to move forward. Mate, that's such a good head start.
Yeah, it really was. And again, a bit like boxing, when I was younger, I learned a lot of lessons that didn't actually pop up until later years.
Yeah,
and then I was very thankful the time, about 2 or 3 year period I sort of spent with him, and I still connect quite regularly with him, but not to that same level. I was very thankful for those, like that mentorship that I had from him. And he was a gym owner as well.
Okay.
He was sort of 10-ish years older than me, you know, kind of, you know, 10 to 15 years older, but he'd gone through tough times. He'd, you know, started a gym from nothing. He'd financially done it tough. So I kind of, we hit it off quite well. And he taught me a lot of really good lessons early, which is good. Yeah.
Well, it's critical, isn't it? Because I think we talk about this a lot, and I do a couple of different podcasts with, one of them is a good builder. And I love talking to those guys. And we talk about, you know, the building industry lacks mentorship. What happens is you become an apprentice and you've got inbuilt mentorship, you know, and then from there, if you become a carpenter or a builder, you're effectively on your own because you go into, you step up to that level of leadership where you've got a peer group, you've got trades and suppliers which are at a level, but you don't kind of rub shoulders with people that will hold you accountable. Or, you know, we talk about it here, like it's one thing to learn skill set, which is what we call hand. It's another thing altogether to have somebody help you with your mindset, which is what you're talking about. So we have a program called Hand, Head and Heart, and it's about being able to develop our people and ourselves skill set, mindset and character. You know, and that doesn't happen naturally. That's something you've got to go chase after. That's a mentor. It's very similar to what you're just talking about now. But it sets you up, doesn't it, mate?
Sure
You know,
does.
I'm sure, you know, you still go through stuff, and I want to ask you that now, but wow, you'd be a million miles ahead being able to step into business and having learnt through somebody else
Yeah.
the pitfalls to look out for.
100%. And
Yeah.
like, probably one of those bigger takeaways was, you've got to do the work.
Yeah.
You know, he would put that back on me. You
Define
know?
that. What does work look like? What did he mean specifically, do you think?
So yeah, I think like just being like unpacking things and being okay to sit with things, being
Yeah.
okay to sit with a feeling or in a season, and
Wow.
and you know, not sweep it under the rug and move on, so to speak. You know,
Okay.
like you know, I can remember one of my first sessions, and I was paying, as I said, big money for this
Yeah.
guy, and he sat down and said, "So what do you want to talk about today?" And it was like, well, hang on a minute, I'm paying you, mate. You know,
Yeah.
you tell me what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we sat in silence. He said, "I'm like, this is for you to do the work.
Wow, that's
You know,
good.
you have to do the work here. I can't do the work for you, because I can give you this and I can do this, but ultimately, if you don't go searching, like, you're going to be back here again in
Yeah.
6 months, 12 months, like whatever it may be, right? The merry-go-round of it. You've got to go and do the work."
Love it.
And that forced me to, again, go away. And it was one of those things where, like, yeah, then start to ask those questions. You know, who you are, what makes you tick. Like, we did a lot of, like, not to give it a label, but like personality testing. You know,
Yeah.
I sat a lot of, you know, almost like an exam, some of them felt like, to get a description on who you are, and you read it and you're like, this is bang on, like this
Yeah.
is me. And I think once you start to understand who you are and your strengths and your weaknesses, you can then start to identify in other people as
Yeah.
well. And
Yeah.
I know once I started to learn that about me and the help that I got from it, I can then, that's only going to encourage me and show me how to be a better coach. Because rather than me getting frustrated in trying to explain something to you, and you know, it doesn't matter how many times I tell Dan how to do a squat, he just doesn't get it, right? And it forced me to look at, well, it's not Dan the client who doesn't get it.
Yeah.
It's Adam as the coach who
Yes.
doesn't get how to explain it to
Love
Dan.
it. Yeah.
How do I educate Dan? How do I communicate with you? You know, are you someone who's a visual learner, an auditorial learner? You know, like it's, so yeah, that was a massive, massive, I'm very thankful I learnt that early, because I
Yeah.
think it shaped my coaching career.
Yeah.
And it gave it the best start for sure.
Well, I can tell you how important it is, mate. It's so cool you're talking about this, because I tell you how important it is. You know, we were 5 years into our business, and I was out.
Yeah.
You know that. So in other words, the first 6 months, 6 to 12 months was the, you know, what would you call it? You know, it wasn't a honeymoon period. It was a trial period. Let's say that. I don't know that we had a honeymoon when we bought our first construction business. But from there on, it was a steady decline into that 5th year where I've gone, okay, I'm out of options, I'm out of answers, I'm out.
Yeah.
But I hadn't started doing the work that you're talking about at that stage.
Yeah.
And at that stage, at the 5-year mark, we started to do the work. But as you know, mate, I think statistically, most businesses last about 3 years.
Yeah.
And getting back to why it's so important to have a mentor and to think like you've been thinking is because you don't have a heap of time. A lot of businesses that stop between that 1 and 3 year mark, the issues they face were probably preventable.
Yeah.
You know, if they saw things differently, saw problems differently. Now, I don't say that as a blanket comment, because business is hard and there's a lot of tension and there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
But I really feel like with the people we work with and my story is that most of the issues I were having were preventable.
Yeah.
If I could understand how to think about a certain issue or understand that I had to do the work, you know, for instance, I used to just turn up and think that my staff would just work as hard as I did without setting them up to win, without training them, developing them, you know.
Yeah.
And then I'd wonder why, you know, things were so hard. It was like pushing a, you know, wheelbarrow every day with a flat tire.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so cool, isn't it? But why it's so important is because sometimes we feel like we're failures in life.
Yeah.
Where we're actually just haven't done the work to know how to walk success out, because life doesn't roll out the red carpet for anybody.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to get through and be able to start piece the puzzle together and learn things the hard way. But for those who don't, they feel like failures, but they're not failures at all.
Yeah.
It's learning a new skill set, learning a new mindset. Sometimes it's a deepening of your character.
Yeah.
But all in all, life is about learning new stuff.
Yeah.
And you got to do that early. Well done. That's
Yeah.
so good. Without learning things the hard way, I imagine.
100%. And then going back, like just that mentor, like you start to talk to these guys who they've been through that hard shit, right? It's a lot like yourself. So they've gone through it. They've learnt that lesson. And there's a genuineness about them that go, I don't want someone to go through
That's true,
what I just went through, right?
Yeah.
And so, I believe everyone has their journey.
Yeah.
But if we can, that preventable stuff, and I think you soon learn that there's other people out there going through very similar, if not the same, problems and facing those same issues. So and sometimes it just takes a conversation of you and me sitting down, you telling me you've got X, Y, Z going on. I go, mate, I went through the same thing 12 months ago. I tried this, but it didn't work. But, and you know what it's like. You have a general discussion and then all of a sudden, you find the answer yourself. It's not about me telling you answer, but you were able to find it just through us having a discussion. So I think that's really, really healthy for everyone. Everyone.
Yeah. The idea, don't do business and leadership alone.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Hey, mate, so for all of that mentorship and everything that you've been able to achieve since, you hit a moment in your life that you couldn't have trained for. Talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah. So, as I said, went through sort of those mid-20s. I'd sort of just felt like I'd found what I was looking for when I was 17, 18, didn't really know what I wanted to do, where I was going, those things. I felt like now I was on the right path, right? I was moving into that fitness industry. I was, I'd sort of then bought a block of land and built a house. And I just felt like things were I was starting to find my way, that sort of mid-20s. And then at the age of 27, just going about life, happy as sort of anything, like just on my path. I went and got a haircut, and the hairdresser noticed a mole on the top, like sort of backside of my head there. Brought it to my attention. Did you know anything about this mole? Said no, didn't even know it existed. She said, look, I think you probably just might go and get it looked at. So I did. I went to the GP. GP had a look at it, said all good, nothing to worry about. Sent me on my way again, and off I went. Continued on with life, and then sort of around that sort of 3 or 4 months later, not too much after it, the same hairdresser said, I think you really want to go and have another opinion or something. I can see changes in this mole. So I went back to that same GP that I went and saw, told her that, same story. She had a look at it, looked at photos that she'd taken. Nah, everything's okay. And then I said, look, to be honest, I'm actually a little bit self-conscious about it now. I just want to get it cut out. So can I get a referral? Local dermatologist in Tamworth, Dr. Peake. So went along and saw him. And I guess the way things play out too, right? So I made that phone call with the referral. The lady at the desk said, look, Dr. Peake's booked out. I think it was something like 4 months, right? It was a wait. And I was like, she said, are you worried about it? And I said, well, not really. I've had, told the story. I had a hairdresser, a bit worried. Doctors looked at it, but look, I just want to get it cut out. She said, look, we'll book you in at whatever date. Anyway, the next day I got a phone call from Dr. Peake's office. There was a cancellation. Do you want to take it? Anyway, I said, let's go. I'll jump at it. We'll just, I just thought they'd go in, maybe freeze it off or whatever they do, and happy days. So, went into Dr. Peake's office. It was within a couple of weeks now, so that appointment wasn't straight away, but it was in a couple of weeks. And went in. Dr. Peake kind of had one look at it and cut that mole out on the spot. So in his little sort of surgery, just a little doctor's surgery. And I sent it away for testing. What I didn't know at the time is he knew a lot more answers then and there that he told me actually years later. I still go and see him now for skin checks. When he cut that mole out, he cut, the incision was 6 millimeters deep, and he still hadn't cut all of the mole out. What I've since learned is moles are deadly at 1 millimeter deep.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he knew straight away that the severity of it, without testing, but he knew that this was bigger than just a mole on my head. So that was a Tuesday, sent away for testing. I carried on with life, went back to work. Again, I didn't really know anything more of it, so went away, and it was a Sunday, so 3-4 days later, I was at home, was just about to have some lunch. It was sort of that late mid-morning, and my phone rang, and I knew straight away, as soon as I saw the number on that phone, I knew it was Dr. Peake's office, because the number was like one of those ones that, like, it ended in 4 ones or something like that, and I just knew that's Dr. Peake calling. My initial thought was my heart, like, fell into my stomach.
Did it?
Why would a doctor call on a Sunday? Wow. And I don't remember a lot of the conversation. My heart was I was very nervous. I just had an instant feeling that it wasn't right. And the only thing that really stayed with me from that conversation are the words, the tests have come, like melanoma. Right. And I sort of sat with that process of, like, melanoma. As I don't know what he said after that. Yeah. I didn't, sort of took me a little bit to compose myself. He then sort of went on to say he'd taken care of everything from this point. So I've now been handed over to the Melanoma Institute of Australia in Sydney. Mm-hmm. I need to be there on Tuesday, so within a couple of days. Your first appointments are booked Tuesday for tests and scans. Wednesday, you'll have a meeting with your surgeon. And then Thursday, you'll have surgery. Your surgery's booked at Strathfield Private Hospital. And I remember thinking, one, this is all happening too quick and too soon. I've got to organise work. I've got to organise this. I've got to, take care of that. 2, surgery. Wait a minute. Yeah. Where are we? What's happening here? So I got a pretty nasty feeling of the severity of it early. And we went down there. He sort of said, I asked, could we push it back? Can you give me a week? Can you do this? And he said, no, wow. You need to go now. So we got down there, had all those initial test scans. You get poked and prodded and put through this machine and that machine, and met the surgeon. He confirmed that, melanoma, and he diagnosed me at that stage as stage 3C. Okay. So it had entered the lymph nodes in my neck and travelled down as low as my collarbone. But he was confident that that's as far as it had gone. So the surgery was booked. So I had a full head and neck dissection on that Thursday. They removed 50, 60 lymph nodes. I can't remember the number now. 50, 60, I think it was maybe 58 lymph nodes through that surgery. So a big chunk of my neck was taken. The scar had over 180 internal and external stitches when they stitched me all back up again. So it was quite, the scar itself starts, up sort of the top of my head. It comes all the way down my neck, and then it comes in underneath my neck. So the surgery itself, that day I remember laying on that. I remember being in the operating room. He kind of stuck his head over to say, "G'day." He'd mentioned where they were cutting are very vital arteries, and he said, this is quite a serious surgery. So he said, look, I'm actually just going to take a little bit of time. I'm going to go and have some lunch. I'm just going to compose myself, and then we're going to go. And that was a pretty scary feeling. I was left there with the anaesthetist. We're just having a general conversation as I'm laying there waiting to go in, and you look at the bright lights of it all, and you start to ask a few questions. Am I going to come out of this? What's this all going to be like? So thankfully for me, I did. We faced a few. I suffered some pretty severe nerve damage. Okay. So it took me a little while post-surgery to get movement and feeling. I still have no feeling down that right side of my face, my head, my neck, my shoulder, chest. I don't feel anything, as in feeling to touch, stuff like that. But I was able to get through that 6-hour surgery. I was able to come out the other side, and the news post surgery was good. He was very confident that the cancer was contained to my neck, and he was confident of that. So we left that hospital, I guess, with faith that everything was going to be okay. And we'd got it just in the nick of time, and, you know, bit of a, whew, that was a close call. But I guess sort of what happened from that point, it just sort of, that was just the beginning, really, of the story. Yeah.
Is that right? So from there, you got regular tests, and those regular tests started showing that you had more cancer. It had spread. Is that right?
Yeah. So once I had the surgery, I went back. It might have been maybe 4 weeks post-op. Saw the surgeon. He said, everything's healing up really well. Look, what we're going to do, they just started trials or initial phases of a drug called immunotherapy. And he said, we're finding in our latest research is that even if, you know, if we can just get you on immunotherapy for 12 months, if there is any cancer, things like that, then this is going to give you your best chance. So I want you to go back to the Melanoma Institute. You're going to speak to an oncologist there, and they'll take care of you from that point. So I went back. I was very lucky. The oncologist I got was a lady by the name of Professor Georgina Long. She just won Australian of the Year 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
For the work she's done in melanoma.
Goodness.
Met her. She said, yep, we're going to start this trial for you. So we went over options, you know, trial options, things like that. So we went through that process, and we started that first phase of immunotherapy. And then it came to a point 12 weeks post-op, I'm going to say, around that, you know, so 3-4 months post-op, where it was back just for kind of a scan. Let's just see how things are. You know, you've healed up. We just want to make sure nothing else has popped up, type thing. And had that scan, and the news that brought was the worst that it could have been. You know, so I then got called in to the surgery, get the results. I was completely blindsided. You know, I just thought my life was getting back on track. Things were, you know, I kind of put it behind me. Sat down and I had my mum, I had my stepdad with me, and got that news that the cancer was back, and the cancer was far more aggressive this time than it was last time in the months that it had been. Wow. So I now had 19 tumours in my liver.
Oh, wow.
So at this point, I'm now stage 4. I, again, probably just been a little bit naive to the situation, was like, okay, so like, when's stage 5? When, you know, like what happens from here? When do we hit 6? Like, and he kind of just paused for a moment, looked me dead in the eye, and he said, mate, this is it. Like, stage 4 is the end. There's nowhere to go after stage 4. Goodness. So that was, I remember, you know, when he said that, just, you know, think about what my mum's gone through, and
yes, mate.
You know, like I you know, with my son now, and to hear that news, and the heartbreak was next level. That was, I guess that was a real kind of pivotal moment too, because, you know, you're faced with then, like, your mortality, right? You're faced with what is life? What is this all for? Like, So, again, probably just circling back to having Professor Georgina Long, I couldn't have had a better team behind me. The moment she was made aware of that, she made a phone call. I was in Newcastle getting those results. She was in Sydney. She made a phone call. She said, I've got a combination of immunotherapies I want to try. They're currently on a freight to you now. Like, I've just bypassed a heap of paperwork.
Got it sorted.
It's on you. You just need to sit there. It'll be with you in 2 hours. Wow. So on that day, started a combination of immunotherapy, like different types, and started a 4-month process of that. To which, they'd then say, all right, well, we'll retest kind of in 4 months, and we'll see what's happening. So
And this was like an experimental. I don't know if that's a word for it. Is it experimental drug?
Yeah. So the trials had sort of been operating for about 10 years prior to that. At that stage, they'd given me a 30% chance that
30%.
that the immunotherapy, that this would work. And that was based off the data that they had previously. I mean, these medical guys are just the brains that they have, and like they literally just go, let's try this because we don't have another option, you know. Yeah. So I was very, very thankful to get that opportunity, and like I've heard the cost of these drugs, and we're so lucky in this country that this lady was just able to say, hey, I've just chucked it on a freight van and it's on its way. You know, I've met and spoken to people through social media and that live in America that sell their house and sell everything, and they, you know what I mean, just to have a crack, just to get a chance at this. And I was able to get it. You know, we're so lucky in this country.
So blessed.
So lucky.
Unbelievable. Oh, mate. And so how long ago was that?
So that stage 4 diagnosis was 3 weeks before Christmas, 2019.
Okay. Yeah, right.
So, we were pretty well told, head away, just enjoy Christmas, get lots of family photos, like just enjoy things, and we'll just take this process as it comes, you know. So 2019,
So how did that affect, you talked about your family, mate, how did that affect those close to you and your family? Like, I mean, that's news that you could only imagine. Like, I just couldn't imagine, you know, the effect that would have on your loved ones.
It's you soon find out who your closest ones are, and like who's genuinely, wholeheartedly got your back. And I don't mean that in a way of, I'll give the example of, you know, I was all in work, pleasing clients, do this for you, yep, not a problem there, yep, cancel on mum's dinner to get that job done. Like, when that happened, I can tell you one client right now that phoned me up just genuinely to check in on how I was going. And now that's not a dig at anyone, right? No. Because the world keeps spinning, and they need to keep moving forward in their life. But the people that just absolutely genuinely put pause on their life and give you everything that you need, the support that you need, the hope that you need, like, you soon see who's there, and you can count them on, you know what I mean, your fingers. Like, there's not many of them. And that was a real genuine eye-opener for me. And I really, like, I really saw, in particular my mum, like, she just dropped everything. Like, you know, nothing was ever a problem. No appointment was ever an issue. No medical bill that needed to be paid or anything along those lines. Like, she just went all in on whatever I needed, you know, and
it's beautiful.
It's amazing.
You kind of, you get yourself into the extremities of life, don't you? Like, I haven't been there, but just thinking about it, it's like everything at that point becomes extreme. You know, there's, like you say, it's like not the normal everyday run of life anymore. You know, it's people that are your friends, they're at their extreme. They're like, oh, what do we do now? You know, what do I say? How do I support? You know, do I say too little? I don't know what to say, so I won't call at all. So I love your thought. It's not like people don't care and don't love. It's just so extreme. Some people don't know what to do. I feel like there's other people that probably just disengage. Where they probably need to step up. I'm only imagining, but you yourself are in this extreme. You know, everything becomes extreme. Finance, time, the way you live in your life, you know, you're all over the place with doctors. Your life is probably no longer your own. You're pushed and prodded and the rest of it. So how much of your life were you able to control, if you will? That's not the right word, but, you know, how much of your life was yours at that time, mate? Or how much did you have to just rely on people like your mum and those close to you? Could you do much for yourself? Was there much autonomy at that stage, or was really mum, doctors, couple of close friends? How did it look through that stage?
Certainly post-surgery, I couldn't do a lot. I was pretty adamant that I wanted to get on with life, like post-surgery. I sort of want to put it behind me. So I got back into work pretty quickly. And I mean, like if I was still sparking or something like that, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. But the fact that I could go and work the gym floor and things like that, like it was really healthy for me to just have a conversation with people, get out of the house for a few hours, things like that. Like that was really important. And so definitely post-surgery, like I couldn't drive for 3-4 months after. I could, there's a lot of things like that just because I didn't have feeling on that side and movement and things. So, but we live in Tamworth because of going through the Melanoma Institute of Australia. I couldn't go. I had to either choose Port Macquarie or Newcastle to go to. There was no choice of staying in Tamworth.
Yeah, right.
So I then had to go back, back and forth to Newcastle every 3 weeks. And that had to be on a Friday. Part of the trial had to be the same day, all those sorts of things. So it was always a Friday every 3 weeks. So we went through, you need someone there to drive you home because after some goes like 9 attempts at getting the IV in or things like that, it just, it takes a lot out of you. So you just need someone there to...
And that was your mum?
That was mum for a lot of it.
Wow.
For a lot of it. So I'm very thankful, like all those good conversations that we had with those doctors and oncologists, and the better side of the news we got, she was there. And then the worst of it, she was there. Yeah. So like you talk about it like leadership, whether we got good news, whether we got bad news, she was always right beside me.
Yeah.
And when I just needed like a glance at her to get confidence or some hope or some direction or influence or something along those lines, she was there. And I'm sure behind closed doors, she had her moments of grief. Yeah. She never showed it in front of me. And
special, mate.
That strength is like, you hold on to that because as you said, a lot of people don't know what to say. Like I had a lot of mates that would sort of give you a pat on the back and be like, oh, everything's going to be all right. Like I don't really need to hear that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I actually just wanted to go and have a beer with my mates and just sort of live a normal life, like mum was able to give me that support, that normal, if you will, know.
Yeah, mate, you can't replace family, can you?
Certainly cannot.
You just can't replace family.
No.
Close mates, of course, just relationships in general, but, obviously there's something about family. It's a good invention.
Sure is.
Yeah. Hey, we were speaking before about, you met Carly in and about this time. Maybe you'll fill in the gaps on how that worked, but I was struck by what you said there. When you met Carly, you're sort of in the middle of that. Yeah. Talk to us about that, mate.
Yeah. You talk about like the right place, the right time, a gift being sent to you. Yeah. Just when I was at that point there of the absolute lowest. Yeah.
This is at stage 4.
This is stage 4. 3 weeks before Christmas. This is like got all that bad news. Yeah. She was there. She turned up. I knew her beforehand, but really sort of entered my life at that point.
And you knew Carly through the gym when
correct.
You worked at the gym.
Yeah. So I had that client relationship. Yeah. She was able to. We'll go back. So when I was first diagnosed, I actually had another partner. Yeah. When I was diagnosed, I got home. I was home about 5 weeks post-op, and I found out that partner was unfaithful, was sort of playing up and doing the wrong thing. But then I also uncovered years of theft, as in dollar amounts theft, identity theft, fraud.
Goodness me.
That was all on me. It was all in my name.
Yeah, wow.
All these loans that were taken out and things like that. So I guess, I got diagnosed stage 3C, got home, went through weeks of thought my life was getting back on track, got hit with then the news of long-term relationship breakdown.
Wow.
Banks looking at taking your house. You've got all these outstanding loans in your name.
Goodness.
Detectives, there were solicitors, detectives, like the investigations. You're still trying to process the cancer, then all of this, and then I got hit with stage 4. So we're talking all within sort of 3 or 4 months from start to, the start of the diagnosis to then stage 4.
Wow.
And when we're talking stage 4, that's when Carly entered. And it was almost like a moment where, she was sent from 1,000%.
Wow.
1,000%.
Wow.
1,000. And completely not looking, you know what I mean? Like, you're talking about, like, we weren't looking for each other. No. There was nothing like that. It was a genuine moment of the right place, the right time.
Yeah.
There was a genuine kindness of her just saying, what can I do to help? She's involved in, she's an accountant. Yeah. So, like finances and stuff. So, I was having conversations with solicitors about declaring bankruptcy.
Yeah.
What do I do to, stop a house, keep a house? Do I need to sell the work? What do we do? So she entered at that point, and we soon developed, I guess, a pretty unique bond. And I'm so, whatever, I don't even remember how it started, but whatever it was, a message or a phone call or something, I'm so thankful that I took that opportunity, because at that point, almost like a line in the sand, things then started to turn.
Yeah. Mate, tell us about, obviously there was a critical moment there where you've just met, your future wife, but you've got stage 4 cancer. And so, how's that conversation go with this, new girlfriend? And it's like, obviously she knew all about it. How did that go?
Yeah. You talk about like having the right people in your corner.
Wow.
Very early, very early in that relationship the relationship started in a stage 4 cancer diagnosis.
Yeah.
You're talking like financial hardship. Like I met with financial planners and stuff. My wage was broken down to like $1.35 left each week. And I couldn't budge on groceries. Like, it had to be exactly this amount every week, this amount. Like, that was the start of our relationship. Was that, and I can remember coming out of the other side of starting this trial of the combination drugs. It was a pretty pivotal moment in my journey, in that this is either going to work or it's not.
Yeah.
And if it's not, we don't really know what other options are available. But if it is, then we've got sort of a bit of hope here. We can work with this. So the night before we were getting this news, I had a conversation with Carly, and I told her that if this news is to come back tomorrow that it hasn't worked, I'm gonna sort of end, this early stages relationship. But I'm gonna call quits on this, because you don't deserve to go through what I'm about to go through. No one does, but you don't. Yeah. And man, I tell you what, you talk about special people. Like,
mate.
She looked me dead in the eye, and she told me, like, that's not my choice to make.
Wow, bro.
How
special is that?
It's not my choice to push her away. It's her choice. It's her choice. It's her choosing to stay with me and to go through this journey.
Wow.
And mate, all humans need, a big part of what humans need is just hope.
Yes, mate.
Just hope that it's going to get better. And I tell you what, man, all I needed at that point was just that, like, almost like a big hug. I had this attitude of like, let's go.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's like I knew I had the family and I knew I had that, but I just had someone else. Family kind of have have to go through it with you, right?
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this person was making a choice.
So good.
I'm in this with you, and man, I tell you what, I owe her so much, so much,
mate. You know, it's why I love having these conversations, mate. You know, like you know, you get a perspective of life, but you know, those things that we can just treat as common become very, very vital and valuable. You know, relationship by choice. I mean, every relationship that's outside of your family is a choice, isn't it? But it's you don't see it like that, you know.
Yeah.
But when you get in a situation like you've been in, it's like it becomes a treasure, your treasure.
Yeah.
You know. And why is that important? Because I love the fact you've talked about hope. You know, here at 1,000 Feet Deep, we talk about the process of hope, because hope is frustrating, because it's the time in the middle where what you're hoping for is yet to come. You know, it's like the bit in the middle. It's frustrating, it's hard, it's a journey, you know. And so you need hope to get you through the journey. And you've talked about some of those rays of hope for you. It's quite powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder this, you know, when you think about some of the things that you did prior to your cancer, you had your mentor who was straightening up the way you think. And, you know, I'm not sure exactly what he was talking to you about, but you've got that. And then, you know, you talked about sport and, you know, family and all the stuff. And then you get Carly coming in the mix, who's giving you that bit of hope you need for that moment to get through. How much, because not everyone survives what you've survived. You know, 30% chance they gave you.
Yeah.
So how much do you credit those things that you built into your world prior to the cancer, and then with Carly and those couple of things that happened during it? How much do you credit that to being sitting here today talking to us?
It's a question I actually asked myself a bit. If you were to ask my doctor, oncologist, he'd say the drugs, right?
Yeah.
The
medicine. Which no doubt have a massive, a massive part of it.
For sure. If you were to ask my grandmother, who's very, very, very religious, you know, she'll give you a very different answer.
Yeah.
You know, I think for me, I think it's a combination of everything, right? I think the drugs played their part. I think the big man upstairs
absolutely
played a big part.
Yep.
A big part. And then I think the lessons that I'd learnt prior to that moment. So I bring a lot back to boxing. A lot of times I jumped in that ring and I didn't know who that person was. I didn't know if I was jumping in with Kosher Zoo or, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
But you have to deal with who's in front of you. And you either have a choice of, nah, I'm out.
Yeah.
Or you bite down on your mouth guard and you get through it.
Yeah.
And I had plenty of losses.
Yeah.
Plenty of losses. Got my butt handed to me probably more times than I can remember, you know.
Yeah.
But I think those years of boxing and getting my tail whipped and being on the footy field and getting smashed around and the hope of getting through it, and then it's almost like a loss, a win.
Yes, mate.
You know,
and that's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the mentorship from Dave, who was the gentleman I spoke about earlier, Dave Nixon, of understanding who I am and being okay with who I am, and you know, a lot of those questions, especially through like that relationship breakdown, I started asking what I did and you know, all these things, and it's like you know who you are and you believe who you are.
Yeah.
And you're okay with who you are. And, you know, so all these hardships and lessons that in the whole grand scheme of cancer, right, a boxing match is not there. But at that time, the hardest boxing match I ever went through was the hardest part of my life, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of got through that.
Yeah, you
And
start to get confidence.
Yeah, and like I tell people, like, resilience is a muscle, and like every other muscle, if we can continue to train that resilience, and it's almost like the boxing match, you know, you start off pretty easy and then they get harder and harder and harder. You know, you go lost, but then a win. Like, it's that just keep going attitude. And especially in boxing, one of the beautiful things about it is I can lose 11 and a half rounds. I can be busted.
Yeah.
And I land one punch.
Yeah.
And I win.
Good.
You know what I mean?
It's just a great way to think about life.
Yeah. And I think that attitude with the opportunity I was given on the medication,
Yes.
the help from my grandmother and family praying,
Yes.
the hope that I got from Carly of like a hope of future.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think all those things played part.
And it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's what life's meant to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mate, I feel like if people were listening and they could take anything out of what we've spoken about today, that's just an amazing analogy of life, isn't it? You know, like we talk about it here a bit at work, and I can't tell you how many times we've felt like failures. You know, like I've felt like a personal and professional failure. But you're never a failure, hey, because it's never over. Yeah. You know, the only time we're failures is if we pull up stumps and quit. You know, and even then, you know, it's like it depends on what the circumstances were. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause some things we're not meant to just grind it out. Some things are better off just left, you know, on the sideline.
Yeah.
But if I could think about what people go through in life and the emotional drain that it is, you know, the despondency and the despair that some people feel around just everyday life stuff, feeling like they're failures, feeling like they're not equipped. You know, what we talked about today, mate, is that it's not over yet. And this is another really cool aspect of life. And this is one of the areas that let me down when I was in business early days, is I didn't learn. I didn't want to get my hopes up. So if I learnt new things, it was frustrating to me because it only made me feel like I was falling short or failing in yet another area.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I just didn't want to be inspired because I just wanted to trudge on, get on with it, you know, grind it out. But what I found was I didn't know what I didn't know. I wasn't feeding myself, you know, and so I wasn't learning new things. And so a big part of life is you get to a point where you're at your limit, you're at your wit's end. You haven't failed. And I love what you've said today. It's like you just go another round.
Yeah.
But without change, nothing will change. Feed yourself, learn new things. You know, put new people in your life if you need to. Get a mentor.
Yeah.
But the best is yet to come. Hey, if your bottom line's the best is yet to come, you can overcome a lot of stuff, hey?
For sure.
Hey, I wouldn't say you can overcome everything because I know you've told me that there was some people who went on a trial at the same time and they didn't make it. It's not like we're talking about a silver bullet here.
Yeah.
You know, it's not self-help. But what we do know, hey, is that if you don't have some type of resilience and a mindset and some good people in your corner, bloody hell, it's a lot harder, eh?
For sure. 100%. And I think, you know, I use fitness as the vehicle to communicate with people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for me, that process of it was like when I got that stage 4 news, my first thing was, why me?
Yeah.
Poor ads.
Yeah.
You know, got the cancer. I'm dying. You know what I mean? I got the bank's about to repossess my house. Or, you know, and it's your first thought is almost to go, it's too hard, right? Like I don't even know where to begin on declaring bankruptcy, right?
Yeah.
And then so you meet with a solicitor and they're like, oh, you know, blah blah blah, and then you're like, oh, it seems like the easiest way to do it. Like I don't have the energy to give that, right? And then I you know, plenty of nights just sitting in the shower, like rocking myself in tears, just you know what I mean? You're like oh, I don't know what I did to deserve this. And then it was almost like a bit of a moment where a bit of a reflection back to my time with Dave. Well, guess what? It's time to do the work.
Good,
it's time to do the work, bro. Like we're in it now. We're in the trenches where like the choices, it's black or white. I'm either all in or I'm all out.
Yeah, and you can be all out in life, can't you, mate?
Yeah.
And it's a funny tension, isn't it? And I've felt that. Like we've all felt that point where it's like, you know what? I'm out.
Yeah.
I want a better future, but I don't know what to do. I'm out.
Yeah.
And it's like, for those who are listening again, you know, and I want you to speak to people who might be out there who feel that, mate, because like you can't be human and not come to that point where you feel like I'm out.
Yeah.
And yet, if we can just go one more round, it's dead set serious, hey, whether it's business, whether it's family, marriage,
Yeah.
we're all up against the ropes sooner or later.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it's why we do these combos, mate, because hey, we talk about success, we look at Facebook, and it's like awesome when we celebrate life, and that's great, and I love it. But we don't often talk about the journey, being on the ropes and going one more round.
Yeah.
And there's too many people, mate, who drop to their knees feeling like failures when they're not,
Yeah.
giving up when they can go one more round. And I love your story, bro. Talk to us about, you know, you're the mentor. You know, you're talking to people that have dropped to their knees. What would you say to them?
Yeah, it's hard because they have to be there, right?
Mm.
And I mean this in a way of, for them to get to a point of that black or white decision, I'm all in or I'm all out.
Yeah.
They need to be at that lowest point. And I can't remember how the saying goes exactly, but there's something about like, you know, you're not at the bottom until you're at the bottom type of thing.
Yeah.
Like you feel like, you know, at that point I was diagnosed stage 3C. It's like, oh man, this is the worst my life's been.
Yeah.
Relationship breakdown, financial issues, detectives knocking on my door. Holy crap, this is the worst my life's ever been.
Yeah.
Stage 4, cancer diet. It's like, holy, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's almost like, it wasn't until my journey was at the bottom that then things started to shift.
Yeah.
And it's really easy for me to say this now, 6 years later.
Yeah.
Go through it.
Yeah.
Because I promise you, when you come out the other side, it's all worth it.
Yeah.
Like I promise you that.
Yeah.
When you're in it and when you're going through it and when you're sitting at the bottom, it looks like a long way back.
Yeah.
And it is. It is. But when you get to this position,
Yeah.
you look back on that journey and it's all worth it.
So
You
unbelievable.
know? And one simple boxing lesson that I learnt that again comes back is, don't quit this round,
Yeah.
quit the next one.
Yeah.
All right, so you go back to your stool, you sit down, your coach says to you, we're not going to quit this round. We're going to go one more round.
Yeah.
And you go out and you do one more round, you come back, you sit down, and he goes, we're not going to quit this round. We'll quit the next round.
Yeah.
You go out, you come back, you know, and it was almost like, if you can have that mentality of, I'm not going to quit today, but I'll quit tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then you get to tomorrow with that same mentality, just one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time, 1 year at a time. You know, I went through that. Things started to then turn around on that cancer journey. Within sort of 6 months, those drugs were doing what they were supposed to do. We were then told that it would be a 12-month process. We got to 12 months and I was like, this is done. I'm finished.
Yeah.
My oncologist walked in and said, we're going to start a new trial with you.
Mm.
We're going to put you over 2 years.
Okay.
And I remember thinking, oh my God, like I just, you know, but I had that, I thought I'd just gone through 12 months,
Yeah.
you know, all these rounds of treatment. I thought it was over and I got hit with it. Just give me one more round.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was, it's like, let's go.
Wow.
We go again.
Wow.
You know, and we just take it. At that stage, it was every sort of 3 or 4 weeks. So it was every 4 weeks. That was my round. All right, I got 12 rounds to get through. You know what I mean? And I get to this round, I just got to do the next one.
That's success, Ad. Isn't it? It's success is a mindset, not a moment.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know, you don't turn up and you're successful. you have a mindset that pushes you towards it, if you will,
Yeah.
or guides the way.
Yeah.
I mean, you had no other option, did you?
Yeah.
I mean, you had two options, really. You could have dropped your knees like you felt like, I'm sure, but you had this stuff worked in you through the things of life. And, yeah, it's a bloody powerful story, mate. Well
And I
done.
think you said it spot on. Like, I didn't see any other option,
Yeah.
you know. So when I decided I was all in, I went and sought a nutritionist who'd
Yeah.
worked with cancer patients.
Okay.
Tell me everything you know.
Yeah.
Show me the stats on what
So
works
you
and what
started
doesn't.
doing the work.
Yeah.
Yep.
I went on a diet that I hated.
Yeah. Okay.
I hate celery. I ate celery every day, right? You know, ultimately the idea was my liver, I had to look after my liver.
Yeah.
So anything green. I was green smoothies, all that stuff, like every day.
Yeah.
I didn't touch one sprinkle of sugar.
Okay.
Because sugar feeds cancer.
Oh,
So I cut sugar.
yeah.
Like, not even go down with your mates and catch up. Like, no drinking, no, like,
Yep.
if I went to the pub, I drank water. Not even a Coke Zero, like, whatever, like, nothing. So I went back to how humans should be, right? If it grew from the ground or if it had a mum,
Yeah.
I ate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I drank water, and I, you know, when a racehorse gets sick,
Yeah.
we go and put him in a paddock, and we let him be a horse.
Yeah.
And they eat grass and they drink from a dam, and all of a sudden well, not all the time, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean, they come good. And then we give them all the processed food, and we give them all, you know, all these things again. So I took that mentality. So what I put in my body, I gave myself the rest that I needed. I was very fortunate and very fortunate that over the 40 odd rounds of treatment that I went through, I didn't miss a day of work outside of a traveling day. So I was very, very, very lucky that immunotherapy doesn't affect you in the same way of chemos and things like that.
Yeah.
So I was able to continue a relatively normal life. I was able to keep training and staying active. Like, I had that process of wake up in the morning, do a workout, and I'm going to make sure that that's the hardest thing I do today,
Okay.
because I'm building that resilience muscle. And if I can be in a position through that workout where I just want to give up, I don't want to be here,
Yeah.
but I do it anyway,
Yeah.
I'm going to take that strength. Fueled myself with the right nutrition, gave myself the rest that I needed, and that mindset just,
Yeah.
things just snowballed.
Yeah. It's an accumulative effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
I imagine. Yeah. Again, guys, we're not saying there's a silver bullet, but you know, all these things make a difference. They're accumulative,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah.
And outside of the cancer, which is quite extreme, this is just good life skills, isn't it? Good,
sure.
just good life
Yeah.
mindset. Hey, I needed to hear this today, mate. I can tell you. You know, we all go through stuff. You don't arrive at success.
Yeah.
You know, it's a journey. You know, everyone's on a journey.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
love that you've taken the time to share yours with us.
Yeah.
Hey, mate, we've got a couple of moments left.
Yeah.
Talk to us about RevFit. Firstly, before we do that, you got a beautiful son.
Yeah.
You're a beautiful wife.
Yeah.
How old's your son now?
Little Harry, Harry's 2, just
Oh.
over 2. He's kind of starting to push 2.5 now, and yeah, man, he's.
That must just be like a miracle on two legs. for
You talk about like what my mum went through.
Yes, bro. Wow.
Full circle moment
Oh,
where
good.
she's the thought of saying goodbye to her son, then goes through,
Yeah.
gets this amazing results, right? And all of a sudden my life's starting to shape up the way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm back on track a bit, you know, and then the news of this little boy where when she laid eyes on him, she said, he is a spitting image of you.
Wow.
Like 30 odd years ago, you know, so pretty amazing to be able to be here and you know, not that I was able to, you know, gift him to her, but you know what I mean? Like be
Yes.
able to, that like the joy that he brings my mum, and I look at him and he is a gift to the world, like 100%. And I think about, you mentioned the 2 gentlemen just before that I started the journey with that unfortunately are no longer here. Like I owe something to them to do something with my life and then be an amazing role model to little Harry and those things. So I'm so thankful for that opportunity, and my beautiful wife Carly. I'm so lucky.
Yeah, mate,
so
it's
lucky.
blessed.
Yeah,
it's blessed. And RevFit.
Yeah,
so that's, mate, I have a feeling before I keep on going to talk about RevFit and then something else pops in my mind, which is just a real testament to how rich your life is, mate. But like you talk about your family, you've got this beautiful wife, you've got a beautiful kid. I get the feeling, mate, that you're going to, you talked about, being a role model today. We talked about mentorship. You've got a lot to offer, mate. You've got a lot to offer. It's more than just being a survivor of cancer. You've got life skills that people need, And so I just want to thank you first and foremost before we get to RevFit for that. I want to thank you for sharing this today, and I just want to encourage you that there are going to be people, mate, that are moved by this story, but also what you do with it beyond this point, because so much of the society we live with hopelessness. Yeah, and that's nearly impossible to get through life when that's our outlook and our mindset. And I've been there, that feeling of hopelessness. A person like you get to tell a story and fill people with inspiration that's not just words, it's lived experience. Go and have a round. Wow, I love it, bro. Anyway, let's get to it. RevFit. Tell me about RevFit. Where is it up to? Where are you going?
Yeah, so, mate, another thing, like RevFit started, I was going through treatment at that same time. So I was still through those treatment years.
You're starting a business as well amongst all that.
We just went through first COVID lockdown.
Oh, love
we
it.
just came out, and like gyms were some of the harshest, like they were the first to be shut down, had the harshest sort of rules coming back, and an opportunity came up to purchase a gym. And I didn't know it then, but we weren't too far away from going into the second lockdown, to which then I was only about 5 months into running a business that I just sort of gone all in on. And then, RevFit, mate, it comes from Revival, fitness and coaching.
Yeah.
And when you Google what Revival means, it's an improvement in the condition, the strength, and the fortunes of someone or something, right? And that is me.
Revival of life.
Yeah.
You're going to bring the revival into people's world, bro.
I hope so. I hope so. Like, it is me. RevFit is a reflection of me. The core values that we have: leadership, accountability, respect, and community. Yeah, that's me as a person. Yeah, they're things that they are my core values. I ultimately hold them high, So, mate, it's. I said it before. I'm so blessed. I get to go to work. Yeah. It is my passion. I get to live it every day. It started out just a guy in a gym with a handful of clients to now, staff. We sort of grew to a staff. We're sort of sitting around 7 at the moment. We've gone from a facility that was about 160 square metres to over 500 square metres at the moment. We've now outgrown that space. Yeah. The goals that I set myself when I started in, when we get to this amount of members and this, like, I'll have made it, we've gone past that now. Like those things, it's pretty awesome to sit back and reflect on where we started, what we went through, about 18 months ago, we purchased a second facility. So we now own RevFit in Tamworth, but then also Active Fitness in Tamworth, which is a 24/7 like commercial gym space. So completely out of my comfort zone, didn't really know too much about it. I was pretty naive to thinking I'll just go in, do what I've been doing at RevFit, happy days. I've learned a lot of tough lessons over the last 18 months, but it forced me I probably got a little bit comfortable, to be honest. At RevFit, I was able to just go to work and I was really good at what I did, and it just did its thing. I had to go back to being a student again when we took on Active Fitness, and I had to go and I had to deep dive and sit with things and learn. And
That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've been talking about that before.
Yeah. I had to pivot. I had to
do the work.
Yep. And only now, I reckon 18-ish months in, do I feel like I'm just starting to get, okay, I can see how things are working. So that's been a pretty cool experience to now, again, sit back and look at the journey that's been.
Yeah.
I'm very blessed to do what I do. And I mean, this isn't, the mission for RevFit ultimately is to have one facility that houses a functional training facility, a 24/7 commercial space, a room full of allied health professionals, physios, exercise phys, chiropractors, dietitians, surgeons that come and visit, knee and shoulder specialists and things like that, and pretty well a one-stop shop for the community of Tamworth, really, that we can, whatever you need in looking after yourself and the best for you, we got you covered.
Wow. It'll be a success, bro.
I hope so.
A couple of reasons, because I know you'll keep hope. I know you'll do the work, and I know you'll go the extra round.
Yeah.
You are a legend, mate.
Thank you
for your time, bro.
Thank you. Cheers.